I can hardly hear you. I don't know whether it's my end.
Yeah, I can hardly hear too. Okay, so just to let you know, I am streaming the meeting on YouTube, and it's also being recorded, which will be uploaded to Wikimedia Commons. So after the meeting, we can always come back.
Okay, so I guess I can
Okay, so
start.
the next person should go. I think we are
I think
having a
he
little
even
bit
dropped.
of
Yeah, I think
change
the
with
network.
sound
Yeah, they have
from
network challenges.
okay. Yeah, Amir, I think you should go.
Okay. So, hi, good afternoon, or whenever you hear this, welcome. I call this very simply Translate
Okay,
Wiki for
Amir,
Beginners.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go on. So I call this very simply Translate Wiki for Beginners. And when I say beginners, I don't just mean new people who are coming to contribute to Translate
Amir,
Wiki.
can you hear me? Amir?
I can hear you, yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay, good. So I will go on. So I gave this the title Translate Wiki for Beginners, not just because it's for new people who are starting to use Translate Wiki, but it's especially for new languages, languages that in which people didn't use Translate Wiki earlier. I think that Sadiq disconnected. I hope that he will be back because he's the organizer. Just a second, let's see. Okay, I really hope that he'll be back. Okay. So I'll continue. I hope it works. So this is not just for new people who translate on Translate Wiki, but it's especially for new languages, languages that have no content at all on Translate Wiki or have very little content. And in some cases, these are even languages in which there's almost nothing on the internet. And languages that are just starting to use, languages in which people are just starting to use the web, which may be the case of Dagbani. I know that you are speaking Dagbani, but maybe people who speak other languages will also watch this video, and I hope that it's useful for everybody. But yeah, this one is organized by Dagbani Wikipedians, and I hope it's useful for them, but also for other people. And the idea is to help you make Wikipedia fully usable in your language. And by fully usable, here's what I mean. Wikipedia is famous for having articles about all kinds of useful topics, useful to learn about. And I'm trying to let more people in. Yeah, I hope it works. Okay. And in addition to articles, Wikipedia is also a software platform. So it's a website, and the website has all kinds of buttons. It has a button to log in, to edit, to delete things, to upload things. And all of these things are originally written in English. And to use Wikipedia in other languages, these things should be translated. So you have the content, which is the articles themselves, and you have all the buttons and all the links and all the menus and so on. So these things, they need to be translated. If you go to the French Wikipedia, you will see that all of these things are written in French, both the articles and all the buttons. And in the Arabic Wikipedia, you will have the articles in Arabic, but also all the buttons will also be in Arabic. So how do you translate this to your language? User interface needs to be translated. initially, everything is in English, but then you go to the Translate Wiki website, and on the Translate Wiki website, you can translate strings from English to any language. That bunny is available there. You can start translating. If your language is not available there, you can just ask. You just create an account, and we have a support page, and you ask for new languages. People ask for new languages all the time. I add them, and there are a few other people who add new languages, so you can add new languages. Dagbani is already there, so that's really easy. Now, an important technical requirement when you want to start a Wikipedia in a new language. I know that there is a group of people, some of these people are probably listening right now in this meeting, who want to create a full-fledged Wikipedia in the Dagbani language. One of the requirements when you want to create a new Wikipedia is that before you create an actual Wikipedia site with its own domain name, you have to translate about 500 most important messages. We call them messages, sometimes we call them strings. It's the same thing. It's just a little piece of text. And why is it important to translate this? People sometimes say it's a very difficult requirement, like, why do we have to do this? And the reason you have to do this is not just because we want to see that you are serious or something. There's actually a deeper reason for this. And the reason is that the first editors who are going to write in this language, like some of you, I guess that some of you are writing in the incubator, because I've seen that in the incubator, this language is quite active. You are creating articles in the incubator, which is excellent. But you need to have a common language to talk about this. You need a word for page, article, upload, edit, correct, delete, user, account, category, things like that. So you need this common language. You need to define this. And the best way to define this is just to translate the user interface, because it's already all there. So this is for you. This is for you, the first editors, because if you just leave the user interface in English, like what's the point of having this thing in Dagbani or whatever is your language? And then other editors that join later, and I really hope that more editors will join later, it won't be just you, it will be more people. They will already have the terminology. Terminology is a set of words, the way in which you can talk to other editors. And then the readers, because most people don't write in Wikipedia, most people just read Wikipedia. They will also have some kind of a language, a convenient way to talk about articles and to understand them. And it's important to understand the site completely, not just to see a few words and pictures and to understand this. It's really important to understand everything, everything that there is there. So you could search it conveniently, you could find the information that actually interests you, you can find related information. And for readers, a really important thing when they read something, when they want to learn something, is trust. Especially, in the last few years, people have been speaking a lot about, can I trust this website? Can I trust this newspaper? Can I trust this TV station? Is it all, maybe it's all fake news, maybe it's not very good. And one of the things that creates this trust is a good translation of the user interface. Now, there's a little formula. This cannot be precise. This cannot be mathematical. This cannot be scientific, because trust is a social thing. It's a human thing. It's not a scientific thing. But here's a simple, funny formula for a good translation, how a good translation of the user interface, a good localization of the user interface can help create trust. And the idea is consistency and clarity and completeness and quality. And these four things, they create trust. Now, what do I mean by each of these things? I will explain very quickly, and then I'll show you a practical workshop of how to actually do this. So what do I mean by consistency? Consistency, I mostly mean that when you see the same word in English, you should probably use the same word when you are translating to Dagbani, or again, to whatever language in which you watch this video and into which you plan to translate. So if you see a word like username, then you should decide, you as a translator and other translators in your group, you should decide which word you should use when you say username. Which word do you use when you say log in? Which word do you say when you, for the button publish, and so on. You should decide on these words and to use them. You can find them in dictionaries, you can find them in other software. If you have any other software translated to your language, if you don't, then you will have to create something by yourself. And once you have that, you should document this. You should write a list of existing words, and you should just use the same words as much as you can. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to always use the same words. Sometimes you will want to use something different, but it's important that you understand what you're translating. If you have a good reason to use a different word, it's okay, use a different word. But by default, you should probably use the same thing. The same thing goes for style. By style, I mean, is it something very informal and simple, you know, day-to-day language, or is it something very respectful and polite and formal? And this is up to you. You don't have to, you don't have to choose formal. You don't have to choose informal, but you should choose something that is consistent in all the translations that you use. And it's actually different in different languages. I can tell you that, for example, I checked Russian. Russian is actually quite informal. I don't know Japanese. I do know Russian. I don't know Japanese, but I've been told that in translation to Japanese, it's extremely formal and polite. But you don't have to be very polite like Japanese, and you don't have to be very informal like Russian or whatever. You should choose whatever feels right for your language, but you should choose this and you should stick to this later as you are translating. Another thing about consistency is that you should document this. You should write a list. I can show you how to create such a list. It's really simple. Just you already know how to create articles in the incubator Wikipedia. At least some of you know this. So you should just create a page like that and make a list of words, account, category, file, upload, and so on, and their translations to Dagbani or another language, and just stick to this. But you shouldn't think that this is a holy book that, like, once you write something there, it's forever. You can decide to change something. You can decide to become flexible. It's a living document, and you can discuss this among yourselves, the translators. You can discuss this with the users, and you can just decide what is good for you and what is the most useful thing. This brings us to the next topic, which is clarity. The most important thing in these translations of user interface is that the users who will use the website will understand everything easily without you having to train each reader how to use the website. That's the whole point, because hopefully you will have thousands, maybe millions of readers, and you cannot go to the home of each of them. You cannot teach them how to use the website. The whole point of translating this user interface is that it will become easy for them to connect to this website, to see everything written in their language, and just start using it without having to learn anything with the teacher. You should assume that the users who will read Wikipedia in your language, they know the same language, they know Dagbani, but you shouldn't assume that they have the same skills. So, for example, it's quite possible that you know how to upload a file. So you know that in English, it's called upload. And then some people think, well, it's just called upload. Why should we create a word in our own language? We can just write upload in English. So not necessarily, because you know what is upload, but not everybody knows what is upload. Many of the readers possibly don't know what does it mean to upload. So you should find, maybe you will eventually decide to just write upload, to just use the English word. That's fine. If you think that most of your users will understand this word, even users like other users who know Dagbani but who are not your friends, who are not computer specialists, if they will understand this word upload, just use that. But if you think that it may be better to translate this word to a native Dagbani word, consider doing that, because it may be more useful for the general public. It's up to you. You need to decide this, discuss this with other translators, and decide the best word for each case. If no one knows the word, if no one ever wrote about this in your language, that's okay. It has to begin somewhere. 30 years ago, nobody uploaded anything in French, and then somebody created a French word for upload, and now people use this. The same goes for Russian, the same goes for Japanese, the same goes for Chinese, the same goes for German. All the languages began somewhere. Your language begins right now. Using computers in your language begins right now. So you can create a word, and that's the word that people will eventually use, quite likely, if it's successful. If it's not successful, you can change it. Once you translate something in Translate Wiki, it's very easy to fix and change and update if something doesn't work very well. So you can be pioneers. Really important, before writing the translation, understand the meaning. What exactly are you translating? If you're not sure, you can ask. We have a support page. You can ask within support page. Whenever you translate, and I will show you how this looks like in a few minutes, whenever you translate, next to the translation, there's a little box which explains where is this message used. This explanation is always written in English. Read this explanation, because this explanation tells you important things about what does it mean. I'll give you a very simple example. The English word open. Like, what if you have to translate open? It can mean several things. It can mean open a file, but it can also mean that the file is open. In many languages, the word will be different. In English, it's the same, but in many languages, it will be different. So that's what you see in this explanation on the sidebar. This explanation is very useful. Always read this explanation and always use this. This will help you write a translation which is clear and easy to understand for the users. Now about completeness. So you should strive to translate everything. It's difficult to translate everything, but you should strive to translate everything, because if you don't translate everything, then what the readers will see, they will see some content in Dagmani, which they can read, but they will also see some buttons in English, which some of them possibly know, but many people don't know English. So you should translate everything as much as possible so that you won't have a mix of languages on the same page. For people who edit the Wikipedia, this helps them adopt new features, because new features are developed for Wikipedia all the time. New features that make Wikipedia easier to use. And if you translate everything and you translate the new features, then it's easier for the editors to adapt the new features. It's important. For translators, for you, the people who are going to work in Wikipedia, it will take time. However, it's fun. And you can be proud that you can say, in Dagbani, we have 70% translation, 90% translation, 100% translation, while other languages have less. And we did this great work. We can be proud. We can show this at conferences later. We can tweet about this. We can tell our friends, look, Dagbani is cool because we made this. We translated everything. And a common initial challenge when new languages start translating in Translate Wiki, there's a big difficulty with the terminology. People that write in many languages, Native American languages, languages of India, languages of the Philippines, language of African countries. It's a common complaint that I hear from lots of people all around the world, that it's sometimes difficult to create the initial terminology, initial translations of computer words. But once you get this, well, once you talk to your friends and you decide on some initial terminology, it really becomes easy because it's repeated very frequently. Username, like the word username, it's used in a lot of messages. Once you have this once, you can use it in a lot of places. Or the word upload the file, you can use it in a lot of messages. And then it just becomes a routine. You just, like every day, you add a little bit and you watch the statistics, and then the statistics slowly get from 0% to 100%. And yes, there are many messages to translate. If you want to translate absolutely everything there is for Wikipedia, there are almost 20,000 messages, which is a lot. Most languages don't have all the 20,000 messages translated, but many languages have the most important messages translated. So even though it's very big, they are actually divided into many small parts. And in a few minutes, I will show you how exactly they are divided and how can you get to each part separately and do it part by part and gradually get to 100%. So it's it depends on your taste. Some people prefer to work in really small parts, no matter what they are. And some people prefer to work in, like to find something that is particularly interesting for them or something that is particularly important for them. So just get there and start with that. One wonderful example from another language of Africa, the Tiap language spoken in Nigeria. A translator to Tiap just started translating last November. And by December or January, he finished all the most important messages. It's more than 500. All the most used messages took him about 2 months. So it's possible. People can do this. He did this, I think, almost by himself. And if he could do this, then you can also do this. It's not that difficult. It seems intimidating at first, but you just translate one, publish. Translate another one, publish. Translate another one, publish. I saw a few days ago that people already started translating to Dagbani, several users. It's very good, and you should continue. You should divide the work among yourselves, and you should continue. And I strongly recommend that once you get the initial base of messages translated, you should continue after that, because the first 500 most used messages, this is just the beginning. This is not the end. You should continue doing this. And it's fun, really. I'm sure that not everybody will do this, but in many languages, there are people who are interested in this and who want to contribute to this. So I really invite you to do this. And a few words about quality. What do I mean by quality? You should work in a group. You shouldn't work, there shouldn't be just one person doing everything. There should be like at least 2, 3, 5, 10 people who work on this and who correct each other, because people will make mistakes. I've been doing this for 10 years, more than 10 years, and I make mistakes. I probably contribute most of the translations for the Hebrew language, but other people correct me. Other people add their own translations, and that's good. It's okay that people correct me. It's okay to work together and to find the consensus and to find something that works for everybody. And some common mistakes, common in many languages, not just you, really for everybody. People often confuse capital and small letters. Some messages begin with a capital letter, some messages begin with a small letter. By default, you should do the same as in English, but you don't have to. You should just be sure that it's correct in your language. Just as a simple example, in English, names of months, January, February, March, they're always written with a capital letter. In many languages, they are not. So if in your language you don't write names of months with a capital letter, you don't have to. But a lot of other things are sometimes written with a capital letter, sometimes with a small letter. It's up to you, but by default, it should probably be the same as in English. Especially on mobile screens. Mobile phones and tablets very often use a capital letter, put a capital letter by default in the beginning. Sometimes it's not correct. Sometimes it is. It's up to you. Also note the punctuation, like, full stop, comma, things like that. These are small details, but if you take care about these little details of quality, as I mentioned earlier, this raises the trust. This makes people think that, oh, yes, this is written by serious people who care about grammar and punctuation. Try to stick to some kind of standard spelling. Many languages have a dictionary where you can check the spelling. If you don't have a dictionary where you can check the spelling, it's challenging, but that's how it is. Maybe you will have to come up with something by yourself. Maybe you can try consulting with some books, or maybe some translated books, maybe some textbooks, newspapers, whatever you can find. Find the same, like if you're not sure how to write a word, try to find the same word in a newspaper or a book, and then you can just write the same thing. Maybe you will be among the first people who write in this language in general. Sorry about this noise. And then you will be developing it. I guess you can be proud about that. You can and you should consult with good experts. You should consult with teachers, with writers, with journalists. with linguists, you know, you can go to universities and find linguists in universities and ask them, or, you know, you can just ask friends who you think know the language well and can write in it, and just ask them for advice. But this may sound like, I want you to write in a very precise language. This is actually not the most important thing. You can, like, if you see that because of this you are stuck, don't be stuck. If something is too hard to translate it in the best way you can, or just skip it and just go to something else that is simpler. On Translate Wiki, nothing is final and perfect. Everything is easy to fix. If you did something and it's not perfect, it's really easy to fix. You just go back to it and you change this, and that's it. So don't get stuck. And I go back to this formula: consistency, clarity, completeness, and quality. All of this bring trust and respect and ease of use. But most importantly, trust, because Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. An encyclopedia is supposed to be a trustworthy website. Finally, a few technical tips. They are very general, and again, in a few minutes, I will show you a practical workshop. But some things appear in messages that also appear in Wikipedia. So square brackets are for links. Bold and italic are made like in Wikipedia with apostrophes. The asterisk makes a list. All of this is the same as in Wikipedia. There are some what we call magic words. So these two are very common. Site name, if you see site name in curly brackets, don't translate it. Just leave it as it is. Just think that instead of site name, it says Wikipedia. It's automatically replaced, because the same software can also be used on other websites. So it will automatically be replaced with the name of the website. But basically think that it's Wikipedia. Int is another magic word. It's not that frequent, but sometimes it's used. So just don't translate this. Just leave it as it is. Just put curly bracket, site name, close curly bracket. Very, very common mistake in a lot of languages is that there are many links that have two parts. The first part is the actual title of the page, and the second part is the text that appears to the people. Again, it works the same as in Wikipedia, but especially on Translate Wiki, it's really important to not translate the first part, because usually it's some kind of a technical name of a page, and it's supposed to be the same in all the languages. But the second part, you do have to translate. So it happens very frequently that people translate the first part by mistake, or they forget to translate the second part by mistake. So do translate the second part, don't translate the first part. Very common mistake in all the languages. Some other technical things. HTML, in case you don't know, HTML is the language in which all the websites are written. So HTML, they're called elements or reserved words or tags or whatever. But they're written in angle brackets. If you see something like this in angle brackets, just leave it as it is. So the strong in angle brackets, that's a part of a programming language. Don't translate the word strong to your language, or EM or span. These are the most common tags. There are a few other tags, but if you see anything in angle brackets like this, don't translate them. Always leave these HTML things as they are. Parameters. This is very common. $1, $2, $3 appear in a lot of messages. It's when the software doesn't know what is going to appear in the message. They are replaced automatically in runtime. So a very simple example. Muhammad deleted a page, but how do you know that it's Muhammad? When you make the translation, you don't know who that will be. What name will appear there. So this is replaced in what we call runtime. So $1 is replaced with, most often it's a name of a file or a name of a person or some number, like 55 files were uploaded, right? But you don't know what number will this be. So what will this actually be replaced with? This is always supposed to be documented in the sidebar. Always look at the sidebar for the documentation. $1, $2 are documented there. Just use $1 and put it in the appropriate place in the sentence according to your language. Maybe it's in the beginning, maybe in the end, maybe in the middle. It's not necessarily the same as in English, but it has to appear somewhere. Plural, a very common thing. So in English, plural is very simple. You usually add the letter S. So it can be like one file or 5 files. So this is how it works. It curly bracket plural, $1. Most often it's like $1 or $2. That's the actual number. And then we have the different forms. So some languages don't have a plural form at all. They just have the same word for one thing and for many things. Some languages have 2 different words. Some languages have more than 2 words. Arabic has like 3 or 4. Russian has 5. It's sometimes very complicated. So be familiar with the grammar for your language and use the plural forms correctly. If you have any questions about this, just ask me directly. I'm very easy to find, or ask on the support page. Gender. I don't know if there is grammatical gender in your language. There are many languages that just don't have grammatical gender, where all the words are the same for men and women. English, by the way, it barely has any gender. A major thing in English is English does have he and she, but other than that, English has almost no gender, but many languages do have gender. So for this, we have the gender keyword. So if you need to say he or she, you can use it like this. Most often it's gender, $1. $1 will be the username. So the username, each user on Wikipedia can define their gender, whether it's he or she, and then it will work like that. It can also be a default, like without a pronoun. So that's how you do this. If you don't need gender in your language, just you can just write one thing and that's okay. It will work. Turkish, for example, is an example of a major language in which there is no gender at all. I think Chinese also, some others. Grammar is complicated, but we can support it if you need this. Grammar, I know that Russian has a lot of special grammar rules. Hebrew has some grammar rules. Polish has some special grammar rules. If it's difficult for you to translate something because the word will change according to different grammatical rules, ask us. Ask on the support page. It's just on Translate Wiki, there's a page called support, and you can just ask, and we will try to update the software to make it possible. How to choose what to translate? Translate Wiki has a lot of projects. Some of them are related to Wikipedia, some are not. So as far as I know, people in this group listening now are mostly interested in Wikipedia. So I recommend starting translating from Media Wiki. I saw that a lot of you created accounts in the last 2 days. This is great. So for those of you who I've seen that you created accounts, I added a list of most important, most useful projects to your user pages. You should just translate these. As I mentioned already, if several of you are working, you shouldn't, like, 2 people shouldn't work on the same project. So for example, one person, like if you know that today you're going to be several people who work on translations in Translate Wiki, then you should decide, I will work on translating the most used messages on MediaWiki, and the other person should translate the Android app, and the other person should translate the upload wizard or something like that. All the links, you can find them on your user pages. If you don't have them on your user pages, ask me and I will add it there. And do check statistics. I will show you the statistics in the practical section in a few minutes, but statistics are really fun to watch. Because you can see that your language is going from 0% to 1%, then to 2%, then to 10%, then to 20%, and it's really, really fun. So find, like if you see a project which is at 90%, bring it from 90% to 100%, and you'll be happy, and you can celebrate and tell your friends. You can also find really small projects, like some parts of the huge thing, they just have like 5 or 10 messages, translate all of them, boom, you have 100% of something. So that's how you should choose. Everything should be translated eventually, and each of you should decide what to translate earlier and what to translate later. I do recommend to watch like what kind of messages appear there. If you see that they are very technical, very advanced, you can probably skip them because it's not very likely, like it's less likely that users will see them. The most frequent messages, they usually appear at the top. So you should translate them first, the messages that will be read by more users. And yes, so this is, yeah. So we are getting here towards the end, and I will start the practical part in a minute. But really, my last appeal to you is this is how you give value to your language and to your knowledge and to your culture. And you bring this to the worldwide, universal, global, common repository of knowledge. And you make it easy for other people who speak your language to contribute their knowledge, which will eventually be translated to other languages and which will become known to the world. So this is how you do it. This is how you help your friends, your family members, your people in your country to become part of this big worldwide phenomenon. People did this in other languages. You can do it in your language. People in more than 300 languages did this, and your language can do this too. So thank you for listening to here. Are there any questions before I move to the practical demo?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I have a question. So there are some words that are like kind of borrowed in our language. It's like they have the same pronunciation and the same spellings in our language. So when in terms of those words, what are we required to do? Can you just write the same thing or?
Sorry, I couldn't hear this well. You said if a word has different pronunciations or spellings.
No, like the word has the same spellings in our language. Like it doesn't have a translation in our language, but we basically mention it the same way it's done in English, and we spell it the same way it's done in English.
Yeah, so like what to do in such a case. So I think I mentioned this, but I'm happy to repeat this. It's a very common question from people from a lot of languages. So if you think that people who don't often use computers and who don't know English well, if you think that they will understand this word nevertheless, you can use this word. Because the point is not to be 100% pure Dagbani with native words. The point is to make the software usable. So if can you give an example of such a word?
I came across one, but I can't quite remember.
That's like I don't know, computer.
Computer. That's okay. That's a good example. If everybody who speaks Dagbani says computer like in English, and everybody understands this, you can use this. That's okay. It's in Russian. I know Russian. In Russian, people say computer. Like people, say Russian words, but computer is the same as in English, just written in Russian letters, but it's almost the same word, and it's okay. It's not bad. If
also like pencil.
Can you repeat that?
Pencil.
Pencil. That's also okay. Pencil.
No, as for pencil, it can be translated. Though just like pen, pencil, or anything that is that we used to write, we call it we can call it alkalem. Though there was a sorry, I wanted to speak Dagbani. It's also a borrowed word from Arabic. So as for pencil, we use alkalem.
That's okay. Oh, I know this word. I know a little bit of Arabic. Kalam, yeah. I know this. It's okay. If
I hope you understand.
Kalam, yeah. I know the word kalam. I know a few Arabic words. Arabic is spoken also in my country, so I know a few. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do this. You think that this word will be understood by more people? That's fine. But it sometimes happens. People use computers and they think that everybody else knows computer terms in English. This is not always right. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not always right. You just need to use your good judgment and consult with your friends. So if you word computer is easier to understand for most people than some native word, it's okay. Just use it. It's fine.
Okay.
That if you come up with some native new word, and it will you can do that. And really, ways are okay. Both ways are allowed on Translate Wiki. It's up to you, and it's up to the people who speak your language to understand this. I hope it answers the question. So I think I will move to the practical presentation now. I hope you can see my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, Amir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think there is a question on the chat page.
Oh, chat. I will take a quick look at the chat. Let's see. Oh, should you spell it? Should you spell it as computer like in English or computer in unique Dagbani spelling? It's up to you. It's up to you to decide. It's a matter of like your language. You should think what works best for the people who will read in your language. I cannot advise you because it's your language. In some languages, it goes more like English. In some languages, it goes more like the spelling. It's really different in every language. Really up to you. If you're not sure, just try to check existing books, existing dictionaries, existing translations of other software if it exists. If it doesn't exist, just decide for yourself what you think works better, what you think is easier for people to read, and just stick to that and see how it goes. And if it doesn't go well, if people find it hard to use, just change it. It's really up to you. So this is how Translate Wiki looks like when you log in. At the top of the page, you can select the message group. So first, you need to log in. You need to create an account and log in. I saw that many people already created accounts and logged in, which is good. So at the top of the page, you can select the message group. If it's just Media Wiki, that's too big. This is huge. What you should start from, click on all, and then it takes a few seconds to load.
Please, Amir, if you can increase your screen.
Yes. Second, let's see. How do I increase it? Is this better?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I think we can also increase from our end too. Yeah.
Okay. So select the message group at the top. So the most important group from which you should start is always called few more. There are a lot of, yeah, there it is. Media Wiki most important messages. This should be translated completely into the body. So here I reloaded this. Let me refresh. Yeah. So also, I mean, it should be by default, but if it's not, check that this says translate to Dagbani, because sometimes people forget to select the language, but it should be selected, like your language should be selected. So translate to Dagbani. If you see some other language name, like if you see English, it just won't work. You cannot translate from English to English. So you need to select translate to Dagbani, search for a language, Dagbani, yep. And then you see all the messages that are not yet translated. So main page. Can anybody quickly tell me how do you write main page in Dagbani and write it in the chat?
Hello?
Yeah.
Those of us who are the graphics, how do we translate main page in Dagwani language? Awal and Co.
Okay, and how do you write this? if it's so difficult, I can ask for something else.
So main page would be solo out. I'm not able to type it because
Right.
my currently traveling.
Can you say this letter by letter?
Solo out,
Yes.
SOLOYU.
Solo you.
SOLOYU.
Yeah. Okay. Solo you. And is that all, or is there?
So the O is the O.
No, it's the LO.
The first one or the second one?
The second one, the second O is O.
At the open. Okay. It's like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
And then the Y is
Oh, it's this one. Like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that so? That's it. One.
So that is it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One word. Okay. So this is a translation, and I do publish translation. That's it. It's published. So now it's again. It appears twice. Never mind why. But like this and like this and here I did another translation. Now you see this one has a $1. So $1. Let's see what is the $1. So here you see this is an explanation here. So when I mentioned the sidebar and the documentation, so that's what I'm talking about. For each message, you should take a look at this sidebar. So this has tooltip shown when hovering the mouse over the link to the edit section. Example, edit section, heading name, right? So $1 is the name of a section heading. So how do you say edit section? I will try to type this. Anybody?
Malasabi عليه.
Can you say
Looks
it
like a whole sentence.
Can you say it slowly or type it in the chat?
Malasabi. Okay.
How do you write this? Anyone? Can anybody hear me?
Maybe you should type it in the chat.
Oh, yes. Okay. I see it. Hassan Muhammad Dawal wrote this, so I will just copy it from the chat. Thank you, Hassan. So like this, but then you need to put the $1. So it will be something like this. So this will be replaced with the name of the actual section. And again, publish translation. And you see, if I don't write this, then I see this warning here. Parameter is not used, $1, right? So if I write this here, then it will be, and then it disappears. And then everything is good. And now I can publish, and there I publish another translation. Now, if you scroll down, where is it? There's a, you can see, in this selector at the top, where you select what to translate, you can see that of the most important messages, if you see here, 15% were translated. 15% is already a pretty good number. It was almost 0 just a few days ago, and now it's 15%. So like if you work well, it will take you just a few weeks to get to 100%. So 15% is good, and I just raised it a little bit more. And if you take a look at the language statistics at the top, I will click this, language statistics. And you see, this shows the statistics. Oh, sorry. Message group statistics is more relevant. So you see, this is the statistics of translating the most important messages into all the languages. And let's search for Duck Bunny. What was this? I saw a question about having a keyboard. I will answer this question in a minute. So you see Duck Bunny. So you see the total number of messages is 720. Ooh, I thought it's less. I should remove a few. Untranslated 604. Completion 15%. Now you can sort by completion. This is a fun trick that I like to do. You can sort by completion, and then you see that you are close to Bambara, spoken in Mali, Samoan, spoken in the Pacific Ocean, Niuean, also in the Pacific Ocean, Chapcano is in the Philippines, Yuki is spoken, I think, in North America, Aymara is spoken in South America. So you see, if you translate just a few more, you will get over Bambara. And then if you say just a few more, you will get above Southern Soto. And eventually you will get to 100%. It's a fun trick that I like to do. About the Dagbani keyboard, let me quickly show you how do I type in Dagbani. I don't know the Dagbani language, but I can type in your language. So what you can do, you go to anywhere on the site, anywhere you can type something. So in the search box, for example, you click here, and then you see this little, let me disable this. If you click here on a desktop or laptop computer, you will see this little button here. You see this little button next to it with a little keyboard? You click this and then click on the 3 dots at the bottom. Yes, and then search for Dagbani. Click, and then you click it again, and then you can choose. So Dagbani, this alt, I think it doesn't work very well. This one is much more stable, the Dagbani tilde. You click the Dagbani tilde, and then you can do this. You can click the tilde. The tilde character is next to number 1. So tilde, and then you type O, and then you get this open O. And tilde E, and you get this E, and tilde Y or tilde G, both of them work. They will give you this letter, and tilde N will give you this letter. So I think that these are all the special letters that are needed for Dagbani. If you need any more letters, please ask me and I will add them. But this is how you can easily type in Dagbani. If you use a mobile phone to do this, then you should use on Android, you should use the Gboard keyboard app, and it has the Dagbani language and it has all the special letters. Gboard, it's written like this. Just use this. Use this keyboard. It works on all Android phones, and just click add language there and add Dagbani, and it will work. So this is how it works, and we are near the end of the scheduled time, but I'm here, and any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
I think there's a question on the chat.
Question on the chat. Let me see.
Keyboard on iPhone.
Oh, what about iPhone? I'm not sure about iPhone. I can try to search how to type these letters on an iPhone, and I can send it through Sadiq or Muhammad. I don't know right now. I never used an iPhone myself. I'm not sure that iPhone supports Dagbani directly, but I'm pretty sure that you can find some other keyboard app where you can type these special letters. And I see that there's another question from Musa.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Musa.
Yeah, the thing about going to the search to look for that small keyboard to activate the special characters in Dagbani.
Yep.
Yeah, I tried it several times, but I'm not seeing that tiny keyboard that you're talking about on my laptop.
Huh. So I'm not sure why. There must be some bug somewhere. I can in this, but you should just email me. I should just add my email here.
Okay.
This is my email. Just write down my email, and just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, just email me, and I'll be happy to help you. I cannot be sure what it is, but if it's on your laptop, then you should be able to see this. And if you
Thank
don't see
you.
this, call me about it, and I will fix it. Any more questions? You can also I frequently speak online to Sadiq and Muhammad, so just you can ask through them if you didn't have time to write down my email, just ask through them, and they will contact me, and I'll be happy to help and fix any bugs. Any more questions? If there are no more questions, there's one last little thing that I wanted to show. So when you are translating, because like really the translation itself is really simple. You just type things and you click publish, and that's it. But sometimes you need to fix something. Sometimes you need to like you see some mistake, or you want to make the terminology more consistent. So there are two things that you should do. You should occasionally you should look at the outdated tab. This outdated tab at the top. So this means that some of these translations have some mistakes, or they need some kind of updating. So just look at them. If this is correct, just do confirm translation. If this is not correct, just change this and then publish. And you can also look at the translated. So translated shows you things that were already translated. And if you find some mistake here, then you can just click it, and you can change these words and publish, and that's it. And that's how you change this. And after a few days, it will be copied to the Wikipedia, and that's it. And then it works. So these two important tabs. Most of the time when you translate, you will look at the untranslated tab. That's where you need to translate new things that are not translated. But sometimes you should look at outdated and translated to fix existing things that need some fixing. And these are really all the things I wanted to speak about. If there are any more questions, I'm happy to answer. And if not, thanks a lot for coming. And I hope to see more translations from you. And that's it. Then tell your friends about this. And thanks to Mohammed and Sadiq for organizing this. Oh, I see that Al Hassan Muhammad Awal raised hand. I think I saw you translating already in Translate Wiki. So yeah, question?
Yes, I think there was an issue yesterday as to whether when I click, do I get the same words like and if, like the same as if somebody else also open, or is when I open I get different thing, and then when someone opens, the person also gets different set of words? Is it always that when I open I get the same words to translate as any other person?
Yeah, so if you do it at the same time, then you can override each other. So that's why if you work as a group, if you coordinate through, I don't know, through emails or through Facebook or through WhatsApp or something like that, you should coordinate with your friends who are also translators. And you should just say, today I'm going to translate the mobile app. I will just show you. I think I saw your username. Yeah, this is your username, and on your user pages. So this is your user page. In case you don't know how to find your user page, at the top of the page there's your username appears. So just click it, and we'll get to your user page. So on the user pages of the new user accounts that were created in the last few days for Dagbani. To most of them, I think I added this list of useful things to translate. So most used is the same thing I spoke about a few minutes ago. These are the most used messages. But for example, if somebody, like you know that somebody is working on the most messages, then you probably shouldn't do it at the same time. But you can, for example, go to Universal Language Selector or mobile frontend. This is like mobile frontend is really important because that's how people read on mobile phones, and most people these days read Wikipedia on mobile phones. So this should be translated also. And so you should just coordinate with your friends, and so that like if all of you are working on the same day, you should just divide the groups among you, and just do it like that. And then you will work in parallel, and that will be very efficient. So you shouldn't all work on the same thing from different computers at the same time. I hope it answers the question. Any more questions? I guess then that this is the end. Thanks a lot for coming, and thanks a lot for listening. And thanks a lot for the questions, good, relevant questions. I hope to see you all translating and getting to 100% translation. And remember, before it's 100%, it's first 20%, and then 30%, and then 50%, and then eventually it's 100%. And I'm sure you can get there. Other languages got there, and you can get there as well. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. And I'm easy to find, and you can ask me questions about this anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.